Hello and welcome back to the Follow Your Spark podcast. It's your host, Gina here, and I'm coming on for a solo episode today. I've been thinking a lot about what I'm going to talk about today, and what inspired this is really the times that we are living in. At least here in the United States, I feel like we are in the midst of massive change, massive destruction, massive transformation. Systems are being dismantled and broken apart. Things are literally burning down. We're in this time of what can feel like massive chaos, and the things that we're used to, the things that maybe we counted on, not existing in the same way anymore. I also see this as a massive opportunity to rebuild and re-envision the kind of life we want for ourselves, the kind of life we dream about for our communities and for the world, and to rebuild and recreate new systems, new structures, new ways of thinking that really support all of us and our evolution and the highest good for the collective and humanity. So as much as it can be really unsettling and scary and terrifying time potentially in one sense, I also see it as really rich with potential of what could come out of this. And I know, like I said, these times can be unsettling. So I've been thinking a lot about what are the most vital skills that can help people navigate this time? And I've really boiled it down to what I believe are the 5 most necessary and vital skills to navigate times of massive change and also have the courage to pursue bold visions and take big leaps of faith. So that is what we are going to talk about today. This topic also feels like perfect timing because this episode is airing Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, which is right before the Leo full moon. This full moon is inviting us to step into our power. It is an energy that brings change and awakening and also some shakeups. And I feel like it's this shaking of like, stop holding on to this old way of being, these old patterns that are no longer working or serving you. It's a time of endings, of closure. And it's also an invitation to start thinking outside of the box and to stretch and expand into new possibilities. So again, these 5 skills are going to help you with all of that. So I'm so excited to talk about them with you today. You ready? Let's dive in. Skill number 1 is about embracing your emotions. So with times of change, again, whether personally or on a bigger scale, it is inevitably going to stir up emotions. Our human brain doesn't like change. It prefers what feels known and what feels familiar because that's what feels safe. You know, if you think back to hundreds and hundreds of years, the brain was developed to keep us safe. It focused on how can I help this body, this being survive? Where can I look for fears and avoid them? Where can I protect myself? So that's the mindset that comes up when we experience change. An alarm goes off in our brain that's like, danger, danger, danger. This is not safe because I don't know what to expect. So one skill that is incredibly beneficial and supportive is to learn to embrace your emotions. And it takes practice. This is why I'm saying this is a skill, because it's something that we can get better at, we can work on, and it's something so many of us were never taught, which is why a lot of people avoid emotions and bury them or resist them or add shame onto themselves for having emotions in the first place and turn to distractions, whether food or sex or drugs or music or whatever it is, to avoid feeling whatever you're currently feeling. So that's why one of the most important skills, I believe, for navigating times like this and having the courage to take risks is to find peace with your emotions. Learn to not judge yourself for having emotions in the first place. Learn how to actually feel your emotions in your body, because truly emotions are vibrations and sensations in your body. So the more that you are able to bring your awareness and presence into your body and feel those things, that's when emotions don't have such a strong grip on you. You know, many of my clients, especially at the beginning, feel afraid to feel emotions because there's this thought thought of, if I go there, the emotion's just going to get louder and it's going to consume me and it's going to be so overwhelming. And what often happens is the opposite. When we give ourselves space to feel a feeling and remind ourselves that we're safe to feel it, we're safe to experience that sensation, that's when more ease comes in. That's when that feeling gets to be felt, gets to be seen, gets to be heard, gets to be expressed, and then begins to dissipate and begins to leave. Because all of our emotions have messages for us, they have things that we can learn from. And also, a big lesson for me when I really began embracing and feeling my feelings. And I say embracing, and I wasn't exactly doing that at the beginning, because I used to think, oh, if I feel my feelings, then they'll go away. Then these bad feelings that I don't want to feel will go away if I feel them. So it was like, tricking my brain kind of a sense. And that's not the point of feeling your feelings. It's not, okay, let me feel them so that they'll go away. That's another angle of resistance, of fighting, of resisting this moment and resisting what is and thinking, oh, if I just feel them, that's how they go away as quick as possible, versus I'm open to feeling them. I'm open to whatever message these have for me. I'm open to the full range of human experience. I'm willing to feel fear. I'm willing to feel doubt. I'm willing to feel uncertainty. I'm willing to feel confusion, because all of those emotions are part of the human experience and we can't avoid them anyways. So to be able to learn how to bring more peace in when you're feeling any feeling, and this also goes for the quote unquote negative feelings, and giving yourself space to feel beautiful feelings. So many people resist that as well, resist feeling proud of themselves, resist feeling happy, resist feeling, beautiful, amazing things. Again, because maybe what you're familiar with are the quote unquote more negative emotions, and that feels safer. And there's a part of feeling happiness, of joy, satisfaction that feels unsafe. Maybe there's a fear of this won't last, or, something that comes up for you. So this is about embracing all of the emotions, the full spectrum. And another thing I want to say about emotions and times of massive change and potentially times of trauma, big change that has a really drastic impact on you, is that it doesn't all have to be felt at the same moment. For example, if you experience a big change, let's say you lose your job, there could be a lot of feelings that come up with that. Maybe it's a job that you loved and, you're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, you're feeling grief, you're feeling confused, you're feeling all of these things. Instead of trying to process all of them in the same moment, you can learn to process pieces of this experience over time. And this message really came through for me recently reading this book, Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. I feel like I've talked about this in a previous podcast. It's an incredible book, and it talks about letting go or processing feelings in smaller bite-sized pieces. So instead of aiming to feel all the feelings that go along with losing a job, maybe you notice sadness that comes up around thinking about this restaurant that you used to go to for lunch every single day, and a wave of emotion comes up when you think about that. It's giving yourself space to feel the sadness and the grief of that particular element of that loss. Maybe other feelings come up when you think about traveling there, or you think about the work that you got to do, or you think about the coworkers that you got to spend time with, all these different layers that were involved in that loss. And again, there's different feelings to feel regards to that, and giving yourself space to process those in smaller pieces, in smaller chunks. That can be a really supportive practice and skill to be able to do that, instead of expect yourself to process grief and loss and all the other feelings that might come with a big change or a big transition all at once. So knowing that emotions are part of our experience, they're a part of loss, they're also a part of doing something new. So if you are a visionary, if you are someone who has this dream for yourself and you want to expand Maybe you want to pursue something new in the work that you do that's more fulfilling. Maybe you want to show up more powerfully in your passions and your creativity, whatever it is. That's also going to elicit feelings, whether quote unquote good change, things that you're stepping into, or change that you weren't expecting. And it's also recognizing that. I was working with a client this morning and we were talking about something big that she was pursuing and putting herself out there in this new way. And she wanted to come to this place of peace, of like, how can I regulate my nervous system and come to this place of peace before this event? And throughout the conversation, the ultimate realization was, what if it's more about finding peace with the nerves, finding peace with the fear, not wishing those things were going to go away or expecting ourselves to be perfectly calm and perfectly peaceful when we experience change? What if it's about finding peace with exactly what you're experiencing and knowing that as you do things, as you continue to grow and expand, that's how you'll find more ease through doing, through accepting, through letting go of resistance to what is, instead of always trying to be at this perfect, calm, stable state. That's not always going to happen in life, right? There's always going to be different emotions that arise, especially when we are stepping out of our comfort zones and expanding, whether it was our choice or whether we were thrown into it. So skill number 1 is learning to embrace your emotions. Skill number 2 is about cultivating inner power. I've been joking with a few friends recently that I feel like being an entrepreneur and all the skills that I've learned with being an entrepreneur has like perfectly prepared me for times of chaos and times of unknown and times of uncertainty, because it has trained me to not look to external circumstances for safety and security. So the skill set of inner power to me means that you're learning to source yourself for feelings like that. You're looking to yourself to feel safe. You're looking to yourself to help you feel secure. Because again, when things are changing rapidly, when things are changing drastically, when you're expanding out of your comfort zone, there's going to be this resistance and this growth edge when your brain goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Again, that's not safe for me to do that. And so often people look to their jobs, they look to the money in the bank, they look to these external circumstances in order to feel safe. And granted, let me say this, there's Maslow's, hierarchy of needs, right? So physical safety, food, shelter, all of these things, those are absolutely necessary, and I'm not discounting them. So yes, there are these external factors that do contribute to our sense of safety. And after that is fulfilled, oftentimes people might struggle to feel safe again because of these other external factors that they're attributing safety to instead of being able to find safety inside. So what I mean by this is, if someone loses a job, right? And all of a sudden they don't feel safe and secure anymore. And the facts are that they do actually still have money in the bank. They do actually still have a roof over their head. They do have food in the fridge. Those basic needs are taken care of. So developing inner power is about developing the mindset and the belief system of, okay, can I come back to myself in this moment and remind myself, how am I safe right now? How am I secure right now? How are all my needs actually met in this moment? Because when we get into this hyper state of fight, flight, freeze, when our nervous system is dysregulated, that is not the best place to make choices from, to choose what actions that you want to take next. It's a place of fear, of panic, of anxiety. So being able to come back to this inner place of power, this inner place of presence in this moment, that is a powerful place to make choices from, to think about what you want to create next. And oftentimes it can feel scary because again, we don't have that quote unquote safety net of a job or something else that previously allowed us to feel safe. And that's when sometimes it's even more necessary to take leaps of faith, to bet on yourself. And it requires believing in your own capacity, believing in your own resourcefulness, believing you will figure it out, and doubling down on yourself instead of pulling back in. So oftentimes I find that people will, again, in this kind of protection mechanism, hoard money or hoard time or, procrastinate, not be willing to take steps that actually would serve them because they're coming from a place of fear. So if you develop this place of inner power, it can be a lot easier to take intentional aligned actions, intentional aligned risks, leaps of faith, because it's built on this foundation of I trust myself. I trust my capabilities. I trust my ability to navigate challenges and obstacles. So when you're able to come back to that place and believe you will get through this and remind yourself you actually are safe in this moment, if that is true, that is such a valuable skill that will open up tremendous opportunity in your life. The next skill is all about rest and renewal. And if you're thinking, wait, is rest really a skill? 100% it is. I find pretty much all of my clients often struggle to rest, struggle to make time for practices that renew them, that strengthen their mental, physical, emotional, spiritual energy, because they're so focused on what do I need to do, chasing these external circumstances, looking for these external forms of validation, and really struggle to slow down and make time and space for practices. Because we're so trained in our society and our culture to produce, to achieve, to do, to create, that taking time to rest, so often the programming is that's bad. That's something that I should feel guilty for. That's something that is not a priority. Like that can come last after I do all of these things. When truly, if we give ourselves space to rest and renew our energy, that's when you have that much more fuel and energy to direct towards the things that matter to you most. And it's interesting, when I was planning on this podcast and thinking about the skills, I wasn't sure how to articulate this energy about rest and renewal. And I pulled a card from this Shaman's Dream Oracle card deck called Rest and Renewal. And that's when it clicked into place. So I want to read to you this card and talk a little bit more about it. It says, the Garden of Venus, the place of all is well, rest and renewal, self-acceptance. When the Garden of Venus appears, you are invited, actually summoned, to return to the pleasure garden of love. It is time to leave the field of battle. Put your sword away. There is nothing you need to defend anymore. Step through the gate into the garden of earthly delights. Bask in the joy of the wish-fulfilling trees and the scent of the healing flowers. You have returned home. You are weary, and it is time to rest deeply and be renewed. Go into this sacred garden alone, as there is no need for another to be present to experience its pleasures. Really stop looking for the other. Enter by yourself. Allow your senses to intoxicate you. Leave all thought behind. Lose your analytical mind and return to your body. In the Garden of Venus, there is a still pond that shows you your reflection when you stoop down to drink. Who is that staring back at you? Look at who you have become. Rinse your face with these healing waters and practice deep acceptance. Love who you have turned into with all your imperfections and blemishes. The goddess Venus holds a mirror that allows you to see yourself in all your flawed beauty. Do not become caught up in its spell. After a quick glance, take the mirror with you and return to the battlefield, that you may reveal to others who they are becoming. Then you will no longer have a use for your sword. I love that so much. And like I said at the beginning, I know the times we're in can feel crazy, can feel like there's a lot of energy out there in the collective, a lot of divisiveness, and it might feel like there is no time for rest and renewal. And again, that's when this is it's always important and it's crucial in times like this, whether it's something unexpected going on in the collective, or whether again it's that Leo energy if it's time for you to expand and grow into your highest potential, taking time to rest, taking time for joy, taking time for pleasure. Those things matter so deeply and will help you renew your energy so you are able to go back into the world. And hopefully, you don't need your sword. And if you do need it, okay, you can pick it back up and ultimately hold that mirror for yourself and others to help step into your highest power from a more grounded, energized, clear place. The next skill is about intuitive connection, which I truly believe is crucial in times of change, in times of expansion, and really always. Intuitive connection for me is about being able to trust yourself, being able to let go of trying to force clarity, force answers from your logical mind, and open up to your inner guidance. Open up to what your heart has to share with you, open up to what your higher self has to share with you, for spirit, if you have a connection to spirit, what you are being guided to do. Because again, in times of expansion, in times of change, in times of opening up to new possibility, things that have never been created before, the mind can't figure it out by itself, I believe. And there is so much more available to us, to our imagination, than is like just at the surface. And the intuition can help you tap into other places, other wells of creativity, of energy, of ideas that weren't available at that logical level. And this is a skill, again, that can be developed. If you are someone who, again, wants to blaze your own path in life, wants to take a bold leap of faith, wants to do something differently, there's no one else who can give you the answers. There's no one else who can give you the exact roadmap of how you should live your life, as much as oftentimes, wouldn't it be nice, right? If someone could just tell me what to do. Ultimately, it doesn't work like that. And the more we look to other people to direct us, to give us all the answers, we're not learning to rely on ourselves. And oftentimes that leads us down a path that inevitably we realize at some point wasn't aligned for us. And we have regrets or questions or what ifs of wonderings of what did I really want? What would have happened if I had actually followed my gut, my intuition? So developing this skill is crucial. And I really love this story that I heard. There's a woman, Kim Kranz, who has created some of my favorite oracle card decks. And she was recently, I think a couple months ago, on the Aubrey Marcus podcast. And she talks about how when athletes are developing their skills, they go to practice and they practice free throws like 100 times, the same thing and the same action, so that they can perfect this skill so that when they're playing in the actual game, that's when they can get into that flow state where they don't have to think about it and their body moves and their energy directs them in this way because of how much they practiced. And Kim was saying that oftentimes artists and creative people think, oh, I need to be in the flow in order to write. I need to be in the flow in order to draw. I need to be in the flow in order to XYZ. And then they find that they're never in the flow, so they never do the thing. Versus if artists trained like athletes, it would be about, okay, I'm going to make time to practice and invite in the flow. I am going to make time for drawing, for writing, for doing these things without the expectation that it should flow right now. I'm going to make space for my body to get used to this, for my energy to get used to this, and make the space for the flow to come in. Because if we just live our lives, and this goes back to the rest and renewal piece, if we just live our lives full steam ahead and keep going until the point of exhaustion, until the point of burnout, we're not creating the space and inviting in that flow state, inviting in clarity, inviting in intuitive guidance. So this intuitive connection is a skill to intentionally build and focus on, and it requires making space. It requires consistency. It requires dedication to a practice so that you can drop into that flow state more and more and invite in the breadcrumbs, the ideas, the sparks of guidance to flow through you. And I also see intuitive connection about releasing control and expectation to an outcome. It's again releasing that mental construct of, I know the way and it should be this way and it should be in my timing and it should happen exactly like this and this and this. Can we soften that a little bit more and come back to, okay, what's the essence of what matters to me right now? What's the essence of this dream that I want to envision and move forward and imagine creating, imagine bringing into my life? And can I let go of what I think is the perfect plan or needing to know the perfect plan? And inviting in guidance, asking to be led, asking to be shown the way, and knowing that our best laid plans might be completely different than what would actually serve us. And it's about holding on to the vision, holding on to the goals with open hands instead of closed fists. And open hands is, again, being connected to the essence of what matters and releasing control of knowing exactly how it should go or needing to figure out the exact how-tos and steps ahead of time, and trusting yourself and your inner guidance and your inner compass to lead you down the path one step at a time. The last skill is about learning to cultivate connection and support. Again, I find so often, so many people are hell-bent on doing things alone, thinking that I need to figure everything out by myself, I need to do this by myself, feeling embarrassment or shame around asking for help, all these thoughts that go into, being this individual, thinking about me, what's in it for me, what do I want to create, versus being able to recognize that when we surround ourselves with support, with an empowering community that believes in us, that can help uplift our vision, that can amplify our intentions and help us build that vision so much faster. And we don't have to do it alone. So this skill is multifaceted. It's about identifying, what kind of people, what kind of communities would be most supportive to you? What kind of values do you have that you want to look for in external communities that they may share? And beginning to envision, what does a world look like where we support each other, when we're not just thinking about ourselves and we're thinking more about the collective and how we can contribute to all of us, and knowing that this doesn't have to be a competition. This doesn't have to be about comparison. How can you let go of feeling ahead or behind of someone else and start thinking about how can we all contribute to and support each other? What does that look like? What does that feel like? How can I invite in the support and community I want and need? And also, how can I be that support and community that I want others to have and I want others to experience? This is something that has been huge for me on my own journey. When I've started thinking less and less about me and more about my community and about the people that I serve and how I can contribute, so much ease flows through, so much more impact opens up in that place. So that's why I believe cultivating this skill of connection and support is so important. So those are the top 5 skills that I believe are most necessary and vital when it comes to pursuing bold visions or taking big leaps of faith. And I 100% believe that now is the time to begin cultivating these skills. That's why in the one-on-one work that I do, we focus on this. We focus on really building your muscles and strengthening these skill sets so that you are that much more equipped and powerful and grounded in order to handle whatever life throws at you, and also handle all the emotions and feelings that come with your own growth and expansion. If you're looking for support cultivating these skills and clarifying the big vision that you want to step into, I offer free 75-minute clarity calls that are designed to do just that. Go to ginacasbarro.com/clarity call if you want to book time to explore these concepts together and see what the impact would be like in your life if you put them into practice. All right, my friend. The last thing that I want to share with you is I pulled two cards before this podcast episode. One of them was the Garden of Venus about rest and renewal, and the other one is called the Feast of Plenty, Choices and Their Consequences. So I always trust there's a divine message here that someone needs to hear. So I'm going to read it and we'll see what comes through for you. So the Feast of Plenty card is about options, choices and their consequences, and life's blessings. A great feast is laid out before you and requires you to choose. What will satisfy your hunger? Something new and unconventional with its potential for bitter or savory qualities, or something you already know and love? You are faced with a plethora of options right now, and while that may seem to be an extraordinary thing, too many choices can throw you off balance. You might be worried that once you commit, you won't be able to turn back or refuse to confront the consequences of that decision. The most important thing to realize is that the feast is offering you experience. No amount of overanalyzing or strategizing will help you make the right choice now. Don't debate the right or wrongness. Instead, just choose. In the choosing is the seed of experience, and that is what is necessary now. Sour, bitter, sweet, savory, what matters is relishing the experience until you digest all that your choice is offering you right now. Only one warning: avoid the same choice if it keeps you hungry. If something didn't feel good or does not bring you what it seemingly promised, do not choose that again. The experience will only repeat itself. You will have more than a bad taste in your mouth. The feast is yours. You can always go back for more when you're hungry again, for life's blessings are ever available to you and calling your name. I love this. Yes, I'm definitely someone who in the past has gotten overwhelmed with too many choices. And I believe all the skills that we just talked about, embracing emotions, cultivating inner power, rest and renewal, strengthening your intuition, and connection and support can help you make more aligned choices, can help you trust yourself and let go of the fear that comes up of, oh my God, what if I make the wrong choice? What am I going to have to deal with if someone doesn't like it or something comes up? You will learn to hear what's an intuitive yes and what's an intuitive no more easily, and have the courage to make the choice knowing you are capable of feeling any emotion that comes through. You will feel grounded and connected to your inner power, knowing that you can handle whatever comes up. And if you're surrounded by a supportive community, guides, mentors, coaches, friends that can support you on your journey, again, you have that extra layer of people and support and energy that can hold you no matter what arises and what comes up. And also, you will be able to hold yourself through all of that. You will be able to hold space for whatever comes up. And again, know it's all part of this beautiful experience of life. The more that you make a choice, like it said, and move forward, you learn from that. You learn from experience versus if you're paralyzed by fear, you'll never know. So often people fear failure versus what if it was looking at, I can't fail. I'm just learning and growing. I'm getting information about what worked and what didn't. So you'll learn that if you make the choice, take the action, follow through, versus if you wait on the sidelines, if you hold yourself back, if you get stuck in fear and overanalyzing and procrastination, there's no information to go off of. So again, if you are looking for support to help cultivate these skills so that you can trust yourself, make more aligned choices quicker, and really build whatever it is you want to build in your life for yourself or for the world, let's talk. Go to ginacasbarro.com/clarity call. This time is all about you and discovering what really matters and what can help you in bringing that vision to life. All right, my friend, I'm wishing you an incredible full moon, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.